on, guys? This is Qazi. Welcome to another amazing video. This time we're talking about how to color grade a documentary, okay? And this is a real world scenario because this is a real job that I worked on. So I personally feel like it's very important for me to bring on real work because then you actually get to see what goes behind the curtain, right? How did it actually happen? So let's start with how did I land this gig? I was approached on Instagram, obviously. I tell you guys all the time the power of Instagram and the power of social media, period. So Bryce reached out to me. Funny story is that he reached out to me before this project on a commercial. And the timing just wasn't right. I was on other gigs. I couldn't take on the job. Then months later, he actually reached out to me and said, hey, Qazi, I have this documentary. Would love for you to check it out. So he pretty much told me it was a super low budget project. I was like, okay, let me think about it. And this leads us to our point number 2. So this is something that I touched base on in my live webinar last week. So in this case, service exchange was that I want to turn this transaction into a win-win for both of us. So what can I ask for? So I reached out to Bryce and I said, how about you give me access to this footage so I can share it with my masterclass members. They can practice along in a real world scenario on a real project that's shot professionally with high-end cameras and mixed format cameras, right? Different cameras so they can apply shot matching and all these techniques that they're learning in the masterclass. He was open to it. He was super generous about it. Let's move on to our point number 3. So since there was no budget on this one, I wanted to set the expectations straight. I barely had any time to jump on it anyways. So I told Bryce, I'm like, brother, I can only give you one day. And it's going to be a base grade because we have 8-9 minutes and hundreds of shots to go through. I'm just gonna do my best to make it look good without using qualifiers or windows and rotoing and tracking and things like that, which he was open to. He was totally fine with it. Let's move on to our point number 4. So the main camera was Red Gemini, and then as a B cam, they were using Pocket 4K along with Mavic Pro, and then they used GoPro. So there were 4 different cameras, completely different color sciences. Let's move on to our point number 5, which is post workflow. And for this one, we went with the bacon blade. And for those that are part of my masterclass, they know exactly what that is. My first module is conform, and I talk about round tripping and bacon blade process. So basically here, you ask your client to give you a clean out, which is, take the graphics off, take anything like, superimposed or whatever you did in Premiere Pro or Final Cut 10, take all those effects off and then export a high res. So in this case, I asked him to do a ProRes 444 with, flat profiles. So guys, I want to take a moment to tell you 2 days left to sign up for my masterclass. This project is going to be added to my masterclass along with my project file so you can actually deconstruct, like look at my node tree and see what's happening and then rebuild your own grade on this particular project. But let's check out what's included in the masterclass real quick. It's the ultimate roadmap that takes you through every step of the color grading process. The masterclass contains 25 hours of lessons, 150 plus videos, almost 100 gigs worth of professionally shot footage for you to practice with, free LUTs and power grades, 30% off on any film convert products, and you get free access to the mastermind group where we hold weekly competitions. You get tailor-made feedback and a chance to win $1,000 cash prize. I'm so confident that I'm throwing in a 30-day money-back guarantee if you're not satisfied. We have over 1,600 members in FCM in just about a year. Click the link and sign up right now. Enrollment ends soon, and I will see you in the masterclass. And guys, if you're enjoying the content, you know what to do. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram. Value bombs are being dropped every single day. Let's roll the intro. All right, guys, so let's get this show on the road. This time I'm going to try out having this camera up here on the corner while we go through it. So it's a little bit more personable. And then because this is a breakdown, I want to take moments to kind of, talk to you and then go back and then talk to you and, just take it from there. Okay. So like I said, this was a bacon blade process, which actually means is that I got this one file. Okay. So I'm going to push this over so you guys can see what's going on. This is what I got from the client. It's a clean out. So it's ProRes 444, 23976, and this is the resolution, okay? So that's what I got. What I did is right click on it and say scene cut detection and then went through the process. And once you do that, you end up with this. So the file name you can see is still the same, but then Resolve is smart enough to break it up, okay? into different clips. So once you have all of this, then what you want to do is just select all your clips, all of them, and then right click and say create timeline, new timeline, okay? So that's what happened. And then once we have that all set up and ready to go, you go in your edit, you just make sure that when you do a playback, everything is, where it's supposed to be and everything is good to go. So I obviously had a reference over here. So I just made sure everything matched up, everything was good to go. And then I just went ahead to my color page and started grading. So I'm gonna take my timeline all the way to the top. And basically the first thing that I can recommend you guys do is click on the Lightbox mode. And that's a pretty good one. So I'm gonna push this over a little bit, so we can just focus on what's happening here. And then I'll bring it in when we need the scopes. So the Lightbox mode is epic because first of all, you can control it, how small you want to make it or how big you want to make it. And you get tons of information in a snapshot. Okay, so if I put it somewhere around here and then this little eye guy, if I click on that, it gives me all the information, okay, like many different things, and I can take you through it, what's happening. So it tells me, the clip Kodak that I'm using. It's giving me a full count. So I have about 130 shots or 129 shots that I have to go through. And this is a very cool way to kind of just get a gist of what you got going on, right? So even if we take the look off, and let me just do that. So I'm going to go ahead, click right here and just say update. And then it should update to how I got the project. So this is what I had. This is what I was looking at. And I'm going, okay, so the first thing that I do is, besides watching it through, so obviously first time, watch it through and just like let it, like start swimming in that Kool-Aid. But then afterwards, I would come out here in this mode and I just like look at it and I go, what do I got? So I have these shots that kind of go together minus this one. So these two and these guys, then this one is in the same family. Then we got the talking head and there's two cameras. So we got a red Gemini here, we got pocket 4K here. So we got two different cameras. So there's going to be some challenges there to like really nail the shot matching process, And so this is what we got going on, and then we can obviously see that some are shot with a different camera. Like, look at this. So this is obviously Rec 709. So this is shot with a DJI Mavic Pro. So we have to keep that in mind. And so this is what we got going on, right? So like we can look at it and start assessing how are we going to attack this. So there's these road shots, like from here, from 20 to 23 or 26 actually. So this whole sequence is a road sequence. So because like I said, for this particular job, I didn't have a lot of time. So I didn't went ahead and create groups and did all that. So I basically started with a base grade and then, kept coming back and, did more passes and more passes. And you guys know how big I am when I talk about stacking your images. So let's just jump right in and let me show you what happened. Okay, so I started with the talking head. So the first shot that I graded was this right here. Okay, and I'm going to turn all this off and then I'm going to turn one on, one node at a time so you guys can see what's happening. And this entire thing is built on the 2383 LUT. Okay, so that's a Kodak film emulation that I'm using. So it's this guy right here. And I can turn it on and you can start seeing what it's doing. So this is before and it is in red, wide gamut, G10. This is what we're working with, the image. And then once I drop my LUT on my Kodak film emulation, 2383, it gives us this. So I really like the colors and what it does and how good the skin looks and everything. So it's giving us, call it like a base. It's giving us a good starting point. And the reason why I'm keeping my LUT at the end is that I do not want to contaminate my look. So I don't want anything to happen after the LUT. This is really going to help us with different camera footage. So once we get all of this under control with our primaries and everything, we will always have a blanket. We will always have a look DNA at the end. So we will know for a fact that which tunnel it's going out through. And it's this look DNA that we have embedded right here. Okay, so this is really important to understand. So then I left that there and I went back into my primaries And most of the magic is just done right here. So, I mean, it's lift gamma gain action. You can see, the changes that I'm making a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. But like, I'm going to do this so you can see a little bit of changes there, barely touching this, quite a bit of a change here, and then just my contrast and my pivot. So that's what's really going on to give us this, somewhat of a natural look. And then I went in here and started creating a little bit of a look, okay, if you will. And again, that is just happening with my majority is like lift gamma gain. So I mean, again, barely touching this, barely touching that. But then I did go into my log wheels and started like really getting experimental. So I'm pushing this quite a bit, but I'm really pushing that. Like, look at where this wheel is sitting and then what's happening here. So I was pushing that quite a bit to really get the results that I was looking for. And it did that, right? Like, so it just like really started creating like sort of like a film look. And then I went into this layer and it's called glow, but that's not what I ended up doing. So here again, I'm just, fighting some lift gamma gain again to pull back all the extra green that I added. I feel like it was seeping a bit too much into the skin and everything. So like, and you can clearly see that, right? Like in this area right here and under the shadows and like all these areas right there, it was kind of getting in there a bit too much. So I went back, balanced it out. And then this was sort of like our obviously sharpening, grain, and noise reduction, the usual suspects. And this was our look for this particular shot. And I'm going to turn the sound off. So when we do a playback, you can just focus on like what we created. So ultimately, it looked really, really good. Skin looked great. And then I just kind of stuck with it and ran with that particular look. Okay. And then I'm going to take you through. And then for the black magic, it was, a little bit challenging. There was a bit more that I had to do because look, after the LUT, how different it is to like where this was before the LUT. So it's really funny. So this is sitting right here. And then this is sitting right here. So they're not necessarily close after the LUT. But let me just turn these on. But then I went ahead and did my primaries and did quite a bit. And again, just our simple lift gamma, had to push it quite a bit and then gain a little bit just to get that red out. And then obviously a little bit of contrast and then pull the saturation back a little bit because I noticed that Blackmagic just, inherently has more saturation than Alexa or Red. And then went in and did a similar treatment to what I did with the previous shot to like get that green in. And it just gives it like a really nice film look and everything looks really good. But again, it does a bit too much. It's really heavy handed with that green look. So then I went back and brought my warmth back a little bit and all of a sudden his skin started looking clean. And then this was the real magic, right? So this was something that I didn't have to deal with on the Red, but here I was, the highlights were just, not desirable. And that's the problem with these cheaper cameras. Like, yes, Blackmagic is a really amazing camera, but there's a reason why Red and Alexa's cost so much. Higher end cameras are higher end cameras for a reason. So here I had to do that extra damage control. And after that, it was pretty good. Like we were pretty close and I was happy with it. The client was happy with it. And then after that shot, I went back to this because first shot was kind of, challenging and it was shot matching and there was too many elements that was going on. And one pro tip that I would give you is that anytime you're in that situation, it's not a bad idea to start off with, start off with a challenging shot, but then right after that, treat yourself and go work on something that is going to give you that instant gratification. And that really helps you stay motivated, stay pumped throughout the job, right? So then this is how I break it up. So I do like one challenging one and then one rewarding one fun one, and then one challenging, one fun, so that's how I play it. So like I said, I mean, it's a pro tip if you really let it sink in and think about what I'm just saying, and it can really help with your mental stamina, because as a colorist, it can get really crazy, right? Like, I mean, you're just looking at these hues, and a little change can become such a huge change. And, your mind will start playing tricks on you. And maybe there are things that, you think that look perfect, and then you walk away, you come back and you're like, what were you thinking? All that. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about if you guys have graded professionally, or not even professionally, just like your projects in Final Cut 10, Premiere Pro, whatever have you. So this one was a lot of fun, but very, like, the approach was very surgical on this one. Okay, so again, we're dropping in our look DNA, and then I'm going in and I'm doing my lift gamma gain. But I mean, majority of it just got done right here. So I'm gonna take you through and like show you what I mean by that. So I mean, just look at it, right? Barely touch the lift, a little bit of gamma, but then tons of work in the gain section, and then contrast. But just look at how much of an impact it's making. I mean, we're there. We created this separation. So I wanted my shadows to be, giving them that complementary color. So then against the rock, like, they really stand out. And then went into my log wheels. And with the log wheels, I don't even think I touched my log wheels here. And then went into my hue versus saturation. But again, like, even here, I just didn't end up doing anything. So basically what this means is that I played around with it, but then realized that it wasn't necessary, didn't have to do it. So I just moved along. The reason why you see these empty nodes is because you guys know I'm a huge fan of having a standardized node tree structure per project basis. And that way it's really easy. Like, if I wanted to go in here now, I could have easily grabbed the highlights and, took it in any way or shape, form like I wanted, right? So I could have easily done that. That's why I like to have these available. And then, even the glow one, but didn't really end up using it. So just look at how simple that node tree is. One node, that's it. So the whole look here is created just with these two, boom, and we're done. And then obviously noise reduction for our finishing touches, and then I did a sharpening in grain. But this is the look right here. So if I pause it right here, just look at before and after, and how strong of a look it is, but how, just it was done lift gamma gain, guys. I mean, this is what I'm trying to tell you, like, how powerful those tools are. And then let's go to our first shot. That's the first shot in the movie. So I really wanted to have solid impact here. So, gave it a little bit more love, and it needed a little bit more love too. So let's check it out. So this is what we have. Once you drop the LUT, the white balance is kind of off. So then I'm like, okay, no problem. I went in and then just, I mean, come on, look at it. Like, I'm doing this with lift gamma gain. Okay. I'm going to show you there's some other stuff that's going on here too, but this time I went heavy, right? So look at these numbers. They're heavier than what's been happening so far in that project. So I'm like really pushing it to get the red out, but then still want to make sure that I keep my rocks where they're supposed to be. Did barely any contrast, like barely touched it. And then let's see if I did anything in the log wheels. Nope, nothing in the log wheels. And then is that the only thing that I did? Yeah. So, I mean, just did hue versus hue, just a little touch, a little nudge. And that was that. And then went back and kind of took the saturation off. So really, that's the only thing that happened. Just brought it down to 40 from 50. And let me go here and see what happens. So here is where I kind of picked out the rocks. I qualified my rocks just by using the luminance value. So I'm trying to keep it really clean because once again, I told Bryce that I don't have time to jump in and do too much. So, I didn't want to, I wanted to do everything that was just very, very, again, like surgical, but at the same time, like broad, So look at how much of a difference it's making, right? So if I wouldn't have done that, look at the sky. And then with that, like what it does, it just turns it into an HDR image, right? And then look at what it does to the rocks. So that color in the rocks came in, with a little bit of love right here, a little bit of love right there, a little bit of love right here. So just again, a simple lift gamma gain operation and got that dialed in. And then this is for this area right here. So I just really wanted to like create, basically what I did is just created a circle or an oval and then tracked it. So pretty simple, tracked it right there, and then just went in and started giving it tons of juice and started pushing it. And most of the push came from contrast and pivot right here. And then just a little bit of hue versus hue action. And then you can just see the result. Like it just adds so much life, right? So it just saturates everything and just makes it really, really HDR looking. So if I do before and after, and it's all believable if you don't know that this is what I'm doing here. So that's pretty much it. I mean, then the usual suspects, right? And then if I make it bigger and you guys can see, you know, the look that we ended up with. I mean, just we really practice or I should say exercised what red has to offer. Like I'm really doing a hardcore push and pull there. This was a very good one to go through. So basically, I'm going to bring my scopes back in so you guys can see what's going on. So this is, you know, this is kind of sitting on the dark side, on the darker side. So when I drop the LUT, you can see what's happening. And maybe it's the time of day and then it's totally fine. But I still wanted to kind of have it match with everything else. So I went in and just look at it. I mean, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Like majority of this action is done with lift gamma gain. So a little bit of lift, you know, a little bit of gain, brought up the gain, a little bit of contrast, but then went in and did hue versus hue. So just brought these up a little bit, and that helped quite a bit. And that's about it. I mean, it was just that, and it put me in the world where I wanted to be. And I didn't touch, like, as you can see, log wheels were untouched. So look at how much of a difference it made. But it just gives it that clean, you know, holiday postcard look. And it's just, you know, it's just so stylized, yet it just feels like it belongs. So ran with that there. And then I want to show you this one too, because these could get very tricky, right? Because clouds break apart very easily. So like, and look at in the parade and in the scopes, like where it's sitting, right? So people sometimes feel lost when they see a shot like that, and they're like, what do we do now? Because we don't really have a reference. Because if you look at the adjacent shots, we got this guy right here, then we got this guy right here. So if you look at these, you're like, what am I supposed to make of it? And like, what am I supposed to do with this? So again, you know, our look DNA is sitting right there. So that's looking good, but still like really lifted and you know what to do. So this is what I ended up doing. Just took the liberty and just made him silhouette. Why not? I mean, he's against the clouds. And if clouds is the light source, then anything under that light source is going to be backlit and it's going to be a silhouette. So that's what I ended up doing. And if you look at it, you know, same action, lift gamma gain operation, just to get the colors right. Contrast, pushed it quite a bit. I mean, 1.4 is quite a bit push. And then with the lift gamma gain, these were important, right? So I want to show you, like, look where the lift is sitting. So it's a little bit to the right and the bottom, you know, right and down. And then if you look at the gamma, it's kind of up and over to the right a little bit. And then gain is, you know, toward the blue. And that's what's really creating the separation. And just look at how much, like, we're getting the clouds we've been seeing in other shots. And then it separates just by creating a color separation. We're adding sort of like a, you know, contrast through color, you know, color contrast. And then obviously the contrast, actual contrast helps too. And then as you add more contrast, it saturates the image. And then this is what we end up with. So there's so much variation, but because it's red, man, this thing is a beast. It just holds up. I mean, look at this. It's holding up really well. And this is what we ended up here with. And it was just beautiful. Like, you know, it worked out perfectly. So now I want to move on to this shot, which was a pretty tricky one because it just, like, if you look at it, you know, it's so dark. And if I put on my LUT, like, it's like this. So then what do you do? And I wanted to go for that, you know, Joker, you know, interrogation scene, or Joker, like, you know, the typical Joker green with that orange. So I wanted to go with that, but then still keep the skin tones looking natural. So that's what I ran with it, you know, from this to that. and wanted to just keep it in that world. I'm like, let's just hold it. Let's run with it. And that's all that happened here, because if you can see, the rest is just lift gamma gain. So you guys are picking up a pattern what I'm putting down, right? Like, so when you look at the film, it looks beautiful. It looks great. And that's what my message is here, that you don't have to overcomplicate it. That said, if I would have had an extra day or something, or if it was a bigger budget, project, like, yes, sure, I would have created a bunch of other, windows and pop certain items and things like that. But in this case, it just like wasn't really necessary. It's shot really beautifully. And once I had a game plan, I just ran with it and it all worked out. I mean, so look at this shot, right? So let's just really quickly go through this too. So we have our LUT, cool. This is what it looks like. And then here, not only I used my, lift gamma gain to just like get some of those colors from the previous shot, then I wanted to get experimental and I went into my hue versus hue. And I just really wanted to like look at what's happening in the fire. And I wanted to create like this nice, color contrast between the flames, that's happening here. So that happened through hue versus hue. A little shift right here, and it gives us this color than what we had before. And it just creates like tons of different color variations within the same shot. And it just looks really cool. So again, just one node did all that. And then boom, boom, these are extra. And then we're done with this shot, moving on to the next shot. And, we just go on. For these shots, I didn't want to spend too much time and just like get really like crazy with this whole sequence. So what I ended up doing is, obviously dropped on our LUT. And I'm like, what can we do? How can I make it look really interesting really fast? And the thing is, let's create this color contrast where we have a little bit of teal, not too much, just a tiny bit of teal on the lower mids. And then we take the top end and push it toward that salmon. So sun is coming out. It's really nice. And just give it that like moody feel. And that's what I ended up going with. So look at, how boring it would have been if I wouldn't have done anything with that. But with that, it just makes such a big difference. And let's just talk about how I achieved it. So contrast, barely touched it, didn't really push it too much. Lift gamma gain, that's where it happened, right? So like I said, I brought in the teal, pulled it up like in my gain to get that salmon action going on. And then let's see if I did anything in my log wheels. I didn't do anything in my log wheels. So again, you're seeing the power of lift gamma gain and what can be done just by using that. I mean, that's it. So this is what happened here. And then we moved on. And then even for the interior shots, I wanted to match that. So when we're going from here to here, and obviously I'm creating that because that doesn't exist, right? I mean, it looks like this. So I'm really creating that to like carry it over even through the window and all that stuff. And then I'm grabbing, my highlights with the Luma qualifier, and it's really clean. And then I just like bring it down. I just bring it down a little bit. And I'm sure I'm using my highlights, and look how gentle and what kind of job it does. Like, look at the scopes before. You're like not clipping, but like all bunched up in one area. And then boom, it just opens it up. And like now all of a sudden we start to see all these different variations, so that's what happened here. A little bit of love, and then moved on. And then this one, I just really had to bring it up so we can actually see the people in the picture frames. And let's move on to this shot. One of my favorite shots in the movie. It just looks so gorgeous. I mean, and again, when you see how easy it was to achieve it, like it's going to blow your mind. So let's kill all this. Started with a LUT, So started with a LUT, and look how, how red dominant this image is, right? Like we can see it in the vector scope. We can read it, and we're like, what is going on here? So I went in and boom, like just, temperature tint to just like really get that cast out, and it gave it a really cool look. And then a quick lift gamma gain operation. So not even gamma, just like lift, pulled it down a little bit, and then gain, just kept it up a little bit. And let's see this. So obviously actually brought my contrast down to just open up the image a little bit because it was a bit too crunchy. And that's what we ended up with. So, I mean, just look at how powerful this was. Like, boom, just one node right here. And then obviously these are just the standard, lift gamma gain up, or the finishing tools right here. So this one was so much fun. So I mean, like, look at it, right? So I mean, this is before, this is after, and just playing off of different tonalities in the shot, right? So we got this green against this, like, these rocks. So what can we do? How can we create color separation that's that's native, that belongs? Like, it's not like a teal and orange, but it kind of is teal and orange. And that's why it's so important to understand how complementary colors work, because you can use them in any and every way, right? So when people just roll their eyes and they're like, I'm out, I'm not like team teal and orange. Well, this is how the world is, right? Like, we got rocks that are that orange, and then we got trees to complement that. So, but camera's not seeing it like that, Like, so I mean, it's like this, and then obviously I can white balance it and everything, but it will never get here unless I do what I did, to get it here. And it's just like little nudging, little pushing, and then you get something really, really beautiful. And that's why I'm all about simplifying the process, and then go in and give it more juice if you have the time and the budget. Let's move on to this shot. There's so many great shots that you're going to keep hearing me say, this is my favorite shot, this is my favorite shot, this is my favorite shot. So this is also one of my favorite shots. And when you drop on a LUT, it looks like this. Nothing wrong with it, but nothing too special about it. And then I went in and again, temp tint action to start with, and that just kind of put me in that ballpark, and then went in and did my contrast, and then pivot, went heavy on the pivot on this one too. And then a simple lift gamma gain operation. So lift gamma and moved it over quite a bit, you guys can see. And then in the gain, just raised it up a little bit. Yeah, so did quite a bit in the gain territory. But then just look at, like, from here to here, I could have parked it here and it would have been a beautiful image. It's perfect. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Look how gorgeous the skin is. So then I'm like, what else can we do? So then I went in here, did a Luma qualifier, and boom, just grab my skin or grab the, background, my sky, and then boom, did that. Like, just a simple two-step process. So took my highlights and brought it down quite a bit, was very aggressive about it, and then took my gain and brought it down just a touch to give it this nice, blue that we're playing off of. And just look at how it all of a sudden becomes green screen. It just like pulls our guy out so freaking much. And then all of a sudden we just go from this to that, and it's just so cinematic. So this is before, and then this is after. That's what we ended up with. And again, simple operation. I mean, you guys are picking up what I'm putting down here. So moving on, I want to show you another one of my favorite shots. This guy right here. Oh man, it's just such a, like I said, I mean, the cinematography on this is just out of control. So let's break it down. Here is our LUT, and this is what it looks like. So once again, temp and tint, went back in and balanced everything out with temp and tint, but then went in with my contrast, adjusted that, and did a little bit of work on lift, actually quite a bit, and then went into my gain, lifted up. So another pattern that you guys are picking up is that it's lift gamma gain is the dance, right? So you pull one down, you raise the other one up to kind of make up for what you did here, but that result is not the same. Result is very different, right? So here we're raising this up, so we're introducing a little bit nice, like, magenta or salmon tones in my colors. But then when we pull this down, we introduce these teal tones in the shadows. So we're creating that, color complementary color scheme. But at the same time, because the push and pull is happening relatively in the same world, it's keeping everything looking realistic. So if that makes any sense, but it will make more sense as we look at what else is happening here. So then I went into my highlights and pulled the sky down quite a bit. And basically this movie or this, documentary, I'm really taking a Roger Deakins approach, and Mitch Paulson, who's Roger Deakins' colorist. And I'm really taking that approach and keeping everything keeping everything in this sort of world, okay? We're not going past that. I'm really keeping everything way under like 1000 mark right here. So I'm not clipping the top, okay? So if I do this, like boom, we're doing that. Looks poppy, but looks digital. This looks very much like film. And if when you're working with a 16-bit image like, Red Gemini, like why not take advantage of it, right? So here, this is a really cool technique that I used. And this was, let me see. So yeah, it's basically dehaze, and it's created, like it's not even dehaze, like a plugin. Like I ended up just, doing the same technique that I showed you earlier. So created an oval, feathered it out quite a bit, and then just went in and did a hue versus hue action to make the forest richer. So like added some deep green in there. And that also breaks up the monotony of like the same hue, right? So that helps with that, makes it visually pleasing. But then went in and did quite a bit of a contrast, and then lift and gain. So just worked on that a little bit, and just look at the difference that it makes. So if we go right here, let me just turn these on too. So now if we go here and I hide this, and if I do before, so I mean, just look at this, to like what we were able to create. And then just even like look at all these colors. You're like, man, how is this even possible to get all these colors? And that's the beauty of working with a camera like Red, that you'll surprise yourself when you start doing push and pull. And that's why it's really important to have, access to a footage like this. So then when the real job comes, you know exactly what to expect. So for me to have over a decade worth of experience working with Red and Alexa and all these cameras, it really comes in handy when I'm just like, okay, I know I got to do X, Y, and Z. And, I know what I can achieve. Like I have an idea, and for this picture, for this documentary, no reference images, nothing. These are all just original looks. These are just all original looks. Like I'm creating them. I'm inspired as I go. And then once I developed a look in the beginning, I just stuck with it, and then just kept going back and forth and kept massaging it, that kind of thing. So even in this shot, right, a lot of these things like the highlights and this right here came after. So this was the look I was here, and then I moved on. I'm like, this is good. Let's move on. And then on my second pass, I came back and I'm like, hold on a second. Let's work on it. Let's massage it a little bit more. And then I came back and did that. So what else can I show you guys? Okay, this is a good example too. Actually, you know what? Let me do this one. This is close to the other shot that I showed you, but again, it's going to be very powerful. Okay, so look at after the LUT, this is what we're looking at. So the LUT didn't really. The LUT is not, if somebody's out there is like, hey, Qazi, you're working with the LUT. I mean, what's so special about what you're doing? You guys are obviously seeing the LUT is not really doing much. I mean, it's a look DNA that activates after I put on my own look. Okay. So here, once again, no temperature control used here, just a tint. And I'm taking it to 19 to add like a little bit more magenta in there. Because if you remember, like this is a little bit more on the green side, and you can see it right here. So then when I add a little bit more magenta, it cancels that out. And then I just went in and good old lift gamma gain, but I'm kind of aggressive with it, right? So like, look how far I'm pushing this down, and then I'm pushing the gain up in the opposite direction to this. So you see, like this is the dance that I'm talking about. And then in my gain, I just like raise it up very conservatively and then keep it somewhere around there. Even the contrast is pretty low key. I'm not going really heavy on that. So that's what happened here. But again, you guys remember the salmon with the little teal action that I was talking about. So that's what's being created, right? So if I make it bigger and you look at the road, like it's a really filmic looking road, right? Like, I mean, this is what we see in movies, I mean, you can think of like No Country for Old Men, like the road, the asphalt looks so rich. And I was just able to create that with one node and lift gamma gain. And then I was countering that for my highlights to add that salmon to create that drama, because without it, it's just kind of boring. But then with this, you all of a sudden, it's just like, whoa, it's so cinematic. Like, and then, adding the school bus yellow. You guys know I'm just fascinated by yellow. It's in my logo. It's my life. and I like this rich, like orangish yellow, like a school bus yellow. So I brought that in here, and it just like gives us another pop. And then I made sure that, you know, my highlights like stay really crispy, and I did that there. So when you put all these elements in, and again, happening in one node, and then here we just added a little bit more saturation, because when I was here, just in context with everything adjacent to this shot, I'm like, man, it's still missing something. What is it? And saturation was the answer here. So guys, it's all of it, right? So I mean, there's just all, like, your brain needs to be processing all of it at 110% at all times. Turbo boost needs to be turned on while you're grading, and it just needs to stay on, because trust me, you will forget like the smallest things all the time. So like you'll forget to use saturation, you'll forget like, or when to use it, or when you need it, and you'll just get tunnel vision, right? Like, I mean, you're going to be looking at something and you're like, man, what is it missing? And you're going to go overdo things like Q versus options, this and that. But here, just the results and the answer was like right in front of me. Like, let's just crank up the saturation and see if that does anything. And you can see it, right? Like, I mean, look at the yellow, what it did. Look at the lights, what it did to the lights. Look at the separation that is creating between my truck and, or my van and like that, you know, foliage in the back. And then just look at the separation that is creating between these rocks and the foliage back here, and then the clouds or the sky to the trees. So all that, just a little pop, just a tiny bit of pop. And if you guys can, definitely watch this video in 4K. I upload all my videos in 4K, so you're really going to be able to see all these nuances that we're talking about. I mean, YouTube is getting really good at their compression, so I can't just always throw them under the bus. I feel like they're getting really, really good with that. So you guys should be able to see these nuances. And then this is what we ended up with. So let's just play it. This is what we have. And then, you know, this is what we created. So again, so cinematic. Just look at layers on layers on layers, right? So it's looking so good. That's what we did here. All right, so let's move on to this shot right here. And it just looks, you know, again, it's just so HDR. It's like, whoa, you know, it looks so good. So I'm going to turn everything off, and let's start with the LUT. And this is our LUT, and then we go in and work on our primaries. And here, let me see. So we didn't really do any temperature or tint, and basically contrast, a little bit of a pivot, and then lift gamma gain operation. So pull the lift down a little bit, and then nudge the gamma over to yellow, and then kept my gain, actually raised it up a little bit towards that salmon. And then, you know, obviously really went aggressive on the gain, and then pulled the gamma down quite a bit to create that contrast. And then, so this one, lift gamma gain, I actually went pretty hardcore on these, to be honest with you. So that's what happened here to create this. And it gave me pretty much most of what I was looking for. But then when I got here, again, this was my first pass. This was good. We moved on. Everything was good. But then for my second pass, I came back and I'm like, man, what else can we do? So I went here and I did this. Basically, Luma qualifier, grabbed it, and then pulled it down, and then went right here into my highlights and pulled it back quite a bit. And then went into my gain and just moved it over to that blue, like cyanish blue right there. And then that basically gave us, I'm going to hit Shift H so you guys can see. I mean, that gave us this. That gave us, I mean, this might as well be like, I just gained 2 stops minimum, right? 2 stops of dynamic range. I just brought it back. So that's the thing, guys, that you need to understand. So many people out there are just like, it's really easy to work with red and it's really blah, blah, blah. It's not, because if you don't know how to do this, you're not going to be doing this. So let's not fool yourself. You still have to learn the art of color grading to understand what you're looking for and what you're going to be getting. And then, so the tip of the iceberg is like, oh, you know, I can get 16 stops or 14 stops. Okay, that's just the beginning. But then the depth of, you know, what color grading process contains, like knowing different cameras, how much can you push and pull each one? How can you match them? Like, it just goes on for days, okay? So that's why I never minimize, you know, when you see somebody put out really beautiful imagery with red and Alexa, don't just roll your eyes and go that I can do that. there's still that's a lot that's going into it to get what they can come up with. So that's what happened here. And then this is the thing. So once I have this sky in, now basically I'm sort of like quote unquote sky replacing. And then once I have this sky in, now I have to continue this theme from shot to shot. So I'm going to show you other shots like where we just basically, it never let off. Like, I mean, I just had to then keep this sky in all my shots, and let's move on to say this one. And let's kill it and then see what we got going on. So this one is also one of those shots that where, Red Gemini really comes in clutch because, for it to have all that dynamic range and bit depth really helps. So this is with my LUT, and then went in here and did my lift gamma gain, no temp or tint here, and pushed my contrast quite a bit here, and then gain, a little bit, and then gamma went hard here, and then gain went hard here to create that separation. And then once I did that, once again, for my second pass, I went in and just look at that. I mean, come on. Just look at how much we were able to pull back before, after. So all that information is there. Okay, I'm not adding anything to it. Like look at it here to look at it there. That's why it's really important to work with red, white gamut and that, specific secret sauce that I talk about, because it gives you so much freedom to like create images like that, where you can do that, like go from here, to creating something like this. And then that's what we ended up with here. And overall, you guys can still see like, I'm still keeping the entire operation really, really lean. Okay. And let's see. So I'm not going to show you this one. This one is a pretty good shot as well. And then, like I said, that theme continued. So in all these shots, I'm pretty much just sky replacing. Like, I'm just grabbing the sky and then getting it in that world for it to match. So all these, right? So it's like then that theme was just in. Like I just really owned it and I just ran with it. This is a pretty good one. So let's break this one down. Here's the LUT. And then here are my primaries. And I think I'm not. No temp tint here. I did do, I lifted my shadows and I brought down my highlights. And that effect is really powerful. If you have a shot like this and you want to create somewhat of like a HDR effect, it can really help you do that. Play around with it, get comfortable, and you'll get some insane results. Contrast, I pushed it quite a bit in this one. And then again, lift gamma gain actually went really heavy. So look at this. Like I'm really pushing the lift, and then gamma, adding more yellow, but pushing it quite a bit, and then gain again, like raising it and bringing the Y value down to keep some of the highlights protected. But again, that was my first pass. And then I went back with my second pass and just look at it. I mean, come on. So look right here, what's happening. And then boom, what we're doing and how much we're protecting. And that's all happening with our highlights, just really pushing it back. And then gain, pulling the gain down, and then hue versus hue, just to, give the rocks the love that they deserve. And then with that, I mean, like, come on. You get what I'm saying? So that was just that. Those were the two nodes that were used to create the look. And then this was the before. And this is the after. So look at, with my lift gamma gain, how many colors I'm creating here, right? Because this can very easily be just like a wash, like a tint, because there's lens flare coming in and all that. But no, I refuse to do that. So I'm giving my rocks the colors that I want. And then that's contrasting teal and orange. That is contrasting with this green that I'm creating in my lower mids. And then when I picked my Luma qualifier and picked my highlights in my sky, and when I did the sky replacement, I then injected a lot of blue in there, like a cyan blue, to just give it another color, to like just stack it on top. So it's all stacking, and that's what we ended up with. So was very, very happy about this. Then even in this shot, right? So if I were to show you this particular shot, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but you know, this one was pretty challenging too, because the sun is going down and the image is kind of just looking blah. There's just not much going on. So then in here, I create that drama and contrast and really do a crazy push and pull, like I can show you right here. So, you know, going pretty extreme with my contrast. Like I said, like, you know, anything close to 1.5 is like really pushed. So this is 1.4, and then doing a lot with my lift gamma gain too. So like even crushing my gamma even more, lifting my lift a little bit, and then pulling my gain down to keep some of the overall, you know, highlights in control. But that was my first pass. Then I came back and I did that again, like, you know, sky replacement. Went back and just grabbed it and did a little bit of I'm sure. So okay. So here I did not do hue versus hue. It was just like qualifier, Luma, picked my, you know, highlights, and then went in and actually went ham right here. So did a lot in my gain and created that. And again, just adding an additional color to create some visual interest. And then all of a sudden, like the shot just doesn't look, you know, dull or boring, you know, and that's what we ended up with here. And then, guys, honestly, this is my favorite shot of the entire film. This is the third time I said this is one of my favorite shots, but I'm not saying one of. This is actually period one of, like, this is my favorite shot, not one of. This is my favorite shot for so many different reasons. So first of all, let's take it and you know, break it down. So this is my LUT right here. I'm gonna park it somewhere around here. So that's my LUT right there. And then I went in and did my lift gamma gain. And again, no temp or tint, just a good old, barely did any contrast, just went heavy with my lift gamma gain. So with lift, I'm pulling it down a little bit. With my gain, I'm just bringing it down. I'm keeping it in the center. I just brought it down. And then in my gain, I moved it into that salmon world a little bit, not too much. And just look at it. It's so beautiful. And then in here, did a little bit of hue versus saturation, brought the red down because the red was getting a bit more, a bit nuclear, and then raised the overall saturation, but then again, brought the red down. So that dance, that's another one, right? So, I mean, you're just like, dude, you're raising the global saturation, but then you're pulling some saturation. What's going on? So you got to feel it out. You know, it comes with experience, but it was very important here to do that. But guys, look at how 3D this image is. And it was just created with really 2 nodes. And then the third one was just like saturation, you know, control. But the reason why I love this shot is that look at the parallax. I mean, just look at the director of photography he's doing here. I mean, like, killed it. How beautiful this is. And then it was only fair for me to just really, really take it to the next level and just go nuts with it. And just looks green screen. Like this, it's one of my proudest work, like shots that I worked on. Like, I mean, it just makes me so happy. Just look at the range. Okay. So just look at the range, the tonalities that I'm creating, like from this to like all the way here. And there's just so many colors going on, contrast values, and all of it just done, boom, majority of it just done right here. So that was really beautiful. I was a huge fan of it. And then what I want to show you, which is very interesting, is this. Okay, so this particular shot was super, super dark. Like, look where it's sitting. So when I drop a LUT on it, look what it did. I mean, it's noisy, it's murky, it's crazy, like where it's sitting. So went in and raised the F out of it, used my offset quite a bit. So offset was just like the first move to just bring everything up. Then started creating a lot of contrast. Then went into my lift gamma gain, brought the lift down, raised the gamma up quite a bit to get rid of that murky nature of that shot because it was so dark to begin with. And then look at what I did with the gain. And that was very helpful because that's what gave us this. And once we had like a major contrast value, everything started to sit right. And then I went in here and did my good old tried and tested technique, offset. Let's not make individual changes and make our life really freaking difficult. Because I was happy with where the whites were sitting and everything in the previous shot, I just came in and boom, done. Like, just grab an offset and move it around until we put life into this shot that matches all the other shots. So this is obviously way more towards blue, and we can see it in our vector scope how much on the blue bottom right here it's sitting. I just raised it up and brought it back into that teal and orange action that we got going on. And then once brought it here, went heavy on the noise reduction on this one. So did that, and that got rid of majority of the artifacts, and then, you know, sharpening in grain. And, you know, this is what we started with. And then this is what we ended with. That looked pretty good. Let's do a few more. So these were very interesting. These were very, very cool. And again, if I kill all of this, and let's just go with our LUT, and then went ahead and created my basic contrast. But that was my first pass, but then I just like wasn't happy with it because it just needed so much. So then I came in here and just look what I did. I mean, again, it's like created that window, softened it up, but mostly the window is not even like there for anything, like, because I'm actually doing a Luma qualifier. So I'm just selecting that. And then that really helped bring the same, like you can see this sky that I'm using, I like sky replaced, and then I just keep using that. So like, look at in these two, like the same sky. So I brought it in here, and it just separates the two worlds so much. And then, you know, basically borrowed the Luma qualifier, transferred it over into my key, reversed it, so then I can just affect everything else minus the clouds or the sky, and then just went in and like used my gain. Just look at that. Used my gain to just start putting in more red into my rocks, and then went into my lift and kind of counter that to balance it out. And this just helps so much, right? Because this is good. This is much better. Like now we're really creating that separation. And then this is neat. So I actually ended up using neat because there was a lot of noise that was just embedded in the shot, and it ended up doing quite a bit. But neat is just so taxing on your system. Let me actually just look at this. We can, I guess, get away with regular noise reduction. To be honest with you, we don't need neat. Neat is like a last resort, you know, Hail Mary. But neat will just choke your system. It doesn't matter. Like my $22,000 machine can just choke up. It's like the software is just written poorly. That's what it is. It's great at what it does, but rendering times, garbage. So this is such a cool shot. Like, what do you do with it? Like, it's just such an interesting shot. Like, look at where it sits on the scopes. And so what do you do with it? So this is what I did. I mean, I just dropped a LUT on and it didn't really help me. So I'm like, whoa, okay, like, let's see what we can do. And then I just started doing crazy push and pull. So obviously started with my contrast, and then went in and just look at, like, took my lift and started taking it toward that blue, grabbed my gamma and really started pulling toward that like cyan down here, and then took my gain and started taking toward that orange and a little bit toward red to create that salmon. So that really started giving me the salmon in the highlights, and then blue on the opposite spectrum. And it just created like, I just created that palette out of nothing, like out of nowhere. And then I went in here and then just kind of balanced it out. Like here, I'm really just, it's just gain, like nothing else. It's just gain. Like I just went in here and I just pulled like more yellow in and subtracted some blue, because look at where my vector scope is sitting, and it was just a bit too blue for my comfort. So I brought it in, you know, and that just made me happy, and it just felt balanced, and you know, went well with like the adjacent shots. But then just look at, like, it's such a crazy shot. Like, what do you really do with it? And then on this one, if you guys see banding, that's probably YouTube, because what I'm looking at, there's literally no banding. And that's, again, guys, like, this is where red and these top end cameras just shine, because you can really create something like that. Like, this is pure art. Like, we just created something that did not exist. And then I just want to start wrapping it up. And here, same thing, right? Like the same theme will continue. Like look at the sky. After my base grade, I came back and just gave that blue to my sky. And I just continued that theme. Like this is before, this is after. All of a sudden we can see our guy there. Again, like I said, it's like gaining 2 stops of dynamic range. Like look at this right here on my parade before and then after. So it's like we're just giving so much juice to our image. And, you know, it just, I think let's just make this our last shot. And then I can just talk about a few things. Or actually, let's make this one our last shot. So this one was very interesting too, because I want to pop him out and I want to do it in the simplest way possible. So this is my LUT. And then I know there's too much red. So then I go in and I pull that out by using multiple different things. I mean, majority of the work is done just right here in my lift. When I pulled it down here, it took a lot of that red out. So literally just like going in the opposite direction of that to cancel out that red. And then raised my gain a little bit to just give the rocks that juice that they need, like especially right here, the dirt, to give it that red back in. So it then complements with the green that I'm adding. And that did the trick. And it just created like this really saturated. And you know, we were missing that little punch in the lower mids and in the shadows. So I just went and, you know, cranked up my contrast a little bit to give me that punch. And then it really makes our dude pop, you know, that red pop there. So that was it. And then obviously, you know, the rest is just like sharpening grain and noise reduction. So guys, check it out, right? I mean, just look at it. I mean, even for this one, there wasn't much that needed to be done. This is shot on the DJI Mavic Pro. So basically all I had to do is just take this and then just shift it a little bit. Like I'm like, okay, like I just want to create some separation. I want to keep my rocks red, but then I want to take the background and just like really add more than just the red that's sitting and embedded, you know, in the background to like really create some color separation here. So that's what happened here. And then when we pull out, I'm going to move my scopes over. And when we look at our overall image, another tip that I would give you is that you can also do this. Because every time I create a look, then I just kind of go and look at my project. I make it as big as I can and then kind of go through and just get a feel for it. How is everything flowing? How is everything looking? Like, does each scene has its own voice? Like, is it all flowing together? You know, and is it helping the story? So I'm like going through and I'm just like feeling it out. I'm seeing it, like I'm loving it. Like, you know, it's all going well. And you know, that's the process. Everything was done within a day. Bryce was super, super happy. You know, he just did not expect that. He was blown away. You know, he's just like, man, what just happened? Like, this is out of control. Like, you know, you said just a base grade, but I know a little bit about Resolve and I know for a fact that it's not a base grade. Like, you did much more than that. And, you know, that's my message to you, right? Like, once I went in with the service exchange process and it was a win-win for both of us, then I wanted to go 100% in because I had future plans that I'm going to do a video on this. I'm going to share tons of value with my audience. And then especially for my masterclass members, they're going to get access to this footage, amazing footage, and they're going to get my project so they can look at my note trees, break it up, save it, like, you know, this power grade, use it for their own work or create their own, whatever they want to do. So for all that, it was a fair trade and I put in my 150% and hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, I hope this gave you a broader perspective of what goes into working on a documentary like this, where stuff is shot beautifully, but there's still tons of challenges that you have to overcome. And especially what we were doing here, we were still trying to create a really cool look and have like this film emulation embedded, which was our look DNA. So once you commit to something like that, then the job is not that easy. You know, you saw we still had to use some qualifiers, but it was still a very tight operation. And because we had a pretty solid node tree structure through and through, it was really easy to kind of replicate and then make a few changes and move on to the next shot, make a few changes, move on to the next shot, that kind of thing, right? So hopefully you guys enjoyed what you saw. 2 days left to sign up for the masterclass. Link is in the description. Do that. And once you're part of the FCM community, hit me up on IG. Let me know you're one of us. Guys, subscribe to my channel, smash that like button, and I will see you in the next video.